welcome to your new Bonner Private Wines video. Here we're talking about one of the red wines that you've received as part of your shipment containing our French wine selection. One of those red wine gems that we've selected for you, that we've cherry-picked throughout the country of France. We are talking about a red wine coming from one of the very most famous appellations in France, full stop, that we've managed to get our hands on. Undoubtedly, this is the most famous wine village of the Rhone Valley in southeastern France. Yes, we're talking about Chateauneuf-du-Pape. So possibly Châteauneuf doesn't really need much of an introduction, it's so famous, but let's get over some key points relatively briefly. So Châteauneuf is a small village in the Rhone Valley, so southeastern part of France, very sunny Mediterranean climate that has become famous for two things. One is that the name Chateauneuf-du-Pape in French literally translates into the new castle of the Pope. And that's because at a certain point of history, the Pope of the Catholic Church was based in the area, in Avignon, in the nearby city of Avignon instead of Rome, for a century or two, I think, during the Middle Ages. And that's why you have the coat of arms on every bottle of Chateauneuf-du-Pape. Secondly, Châteauneuf is obviously famous well for the quality of its wines. Châteauneuf has always been famous locally for the pure, absolute, better quality of its wines. And so in the 1920s, it was one in the very first areas of France to receive official recognition as an appellation by the French wine authorities. So already in the 1920s, the French really recognized that Châteauneuf was something special. Then the fame of Châteauneuf literally boomed internationally when top critics like the famous Robert Parker, that you've probably heard about, found out and wrote about how good wines are here. So we are in the sunny side, the sunny part of southern France near the Mediterranean. So we've got some hot summers here, very little rain. And what's very special about Chateauneuf-du-Pape terroir, you know, the soil composition, are those large rolled river pebbles that literally cover most vineyards over there. So a very generously warm soil that gives grapes a dense concentration of flavors and tannins that you can find later on into the wine. Yet the soil's composition still allows for finesse in the wine. So they're big wines, but still you will find the French elegance when you get to taste them. Now the producer, this wine is made by a winery now that's become really famous in Châteauneuf, very respected, that is called the Vieux Telegraphe. A lot of wine connoisseurs know about the Vieux Telegraphe, understand the Old Telegraphe, that's the name of the winery. The estate was founded in 1891 by the Brunier family, owned and operated still to this day by the same family, with two brothers, Frédéric and Daniel, who took over from their father in the 1990s. They're, I think, the fifth generation running and working the vines of the estate, and now their sons and daughter help out also on the estate as the French tradition wants to. So it's called the Old Telegraphe because the vineyards are located on a hill where a Frenchman named Claude Chappe was the inventor of the optical telegraph back in the 19th century, I think, and he built one of his optical telegraph sign towers on the top of that hill, and that's where most of the vineyards of the estate are located. So this is made with a typical blend from the Rhône region, yet with a dominant proportion of Grenache, 80% Grenache, which is the iconic grape that makes some of the very best Chateauneuf-du-Pape wines. So if you've been wondering, if you've heard about Grenache and you've been wondering what it actually tastes like, well, this is your opportunity to taste 80%, so nearly pure Grenache. It does have a little bit of Syrah and a bit of Mourvedre and a bit of Cinsault, other local grapes as well, for some extra complexity and to round up the blend and perfect the wine. So grapes are hand-picked, of course. This is refined in tank for about 10 months, then in oak vats for another 7 months, just to smoothen up and deepen the wine. But enough talking, let's dig into this 2016 Télégraphe. So this is called Télégraphe because this is one of the cuvées made by the Vieux, the Old Telegraphe, so it's like a telegram sent to you. What will you find when you eventually get to taste it? Well, First, this is a 3-year-old wine, so it's not a totally young wine. It's got 3 years of evolution, yet it still looks really red and shiny and vibrant. It still has a little bit of purple hues. If you've watched my other videos about the wines, and the young wines show some purple hues, especially if you look at the side of the glass. But this one also has touches of orange as well, showing that it's already been smoothened at the winery and it's already been aged for you for 3 years. Let's see what the wine smells like now, the aromatic profile. Wow. Just from smelling the wine, you can already sense the finesse and the elegance that I was talking about before. It's got a dominant notes of generously ripe, fruity aromas, such as really dark, ripe cherry. There's a bit of prune and very ripe purple plum as well. Definitely a big notes of cooked apple here. So it's generous, but it's got also lots of little details which indicate to me that this is a very fine wine, because it's got not only the big burst of fruit aromas to the aromatic profile, but also a bit of black pepper, a bit of dark chocolate, a bit of dark cocoa, a myriad of sweet spices, the cloves, the cinnamon. There's notes of a bit of earthiness that shines through from the terroir, a bit of a truffle, black truffle characteristics as well coming through. So loads and loads of different notes that you can sense, and this is how you tell just by smelling a wine that, oh yeah, this is going to be an interesting wine to taste. So let's do just that. Wow, so certainly a generous wine. It's quite warm. It's got a literal burst of explosion of flavors that are just invading, exploding on my palate just as I am talking. This generous prune, generous plum, this explosion of really dark, ripe cherry liqueur type of flavors together, all mixed up with all those sweet spices, the black pepper that kind of warms up your palate as well. It's generous, it's round-bodied. It feels generous and ripe and warm, yet it's got a soft tannic texture, slightly granulous, but it coats your palate with those velvety tannins, which makes the tasting experience rather smooth, rather elegant, and also it delivers layers and layers and layers of complexity on the back of your palate. So this is a powerful wine, loads and loads of complexity. This is a wine to go with very tasty dishes, the grilled meats, the barbecues, the rich meaty stews. This is a wine to pair with garlicky Mediterranean type of dishes as well. So yeah, have fun with this type of wine. I think it is a wine that you may want to taste by itself before you start eating as well. So, you know, when you're on the back of your kitchen opening the bottle of wine half an hour before, a solid hour before in this case, well, you know, please yourself and treat yourself with a small glass of the Châteauneuf, so you can enjoy it all its complexity by itself, but otherwise pair it with generous foods. We're going to be entering the holidays now, so this is certainly the type of wine that you can have with generous meals, some tasty cheeses as well. So yeah, have fun with this. As for how long to keep Télégraphe for, so this is 2016, which is relatively young for a Chateauneuf-du-Pape wine. It is good to taste now, but it is going to develop further, smoothen up, develop more complexity, more layers of earthiness, a bit of leather, this black truffle, these black olive aromas and flavors that are coming through now and that give all these depths and its complexity to this wine are going to develop a little bit further. It's going to tame down a little bit the fruity expression, so you can feel everything else a little bit better. So I would recommend to hold, if you can, hold on to this for a year or two, and it will probably age really well up to 5, and I would say even 10, perhaps 15 years. So perhaps try this wine that you've just received now, and if you like it, well, perhaps try to get some more if you want to hold on to it, another few bottles that you can store and open them in 2, 5, 7 and 10 years to see how it evolves. I hope you will enjoy Télégraphe. I'm sure you are very likely to, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you soon with the other wine videos reviewing and telling you the stories about all of these wines from the Bonner Wine Club selection. I will see you soon in the wonderful world of wine. Au revoir. Bye bye. Cheers.